The US President Barack Obama is cutting short his holiday and flying back to Washington as the clock ticks towards the fiscal cliff. But House leaders have not given their members the signal to return to Washington and say they won't until the Senate passes a bill to avert the economic deadline. Joining us now is Sky Business editor James Dager-Nixon. James, thanks for joining us. What is the worst that can happen if America does in fact fall over this cliff we hear so much about and a compromise isn't reached in time?
Yeah, the worst. Look, I suppose there are quite a few doomsdays out there at the moment. Worst case scenario that's being suggested is that if they don't come to some sort of agreement, be it a short-term fix or a long-term solution, that will see the US economy dragged down the toilet, and that it might also drag the global economy with it. That is worst case and unlikely. There's no doubt, though, that it will have a negative impact on the US economy, though most suggest only a short one. What you'd likely see is if they don't reach a solution, markets to sell off rather harshly, in particular equities. We'd see as a result of that pressure on politicians to come to some sort of an agreement. So you'd see some sort of a quick fix brought on by pressure from the markets. Politicians get together to do something, and only a short-term impact on the US economy. Certainly, those argue that we're already seeing an impact on the US economy. Ben Bernanke just the other week coming out and suggesting that we're already starting to see impacts on the likes of housing and general confidence, particularly amongst consumers when it comes to spending in the likes of retail. Whether or not that is something that will continue and get worse and is up for debate, but the most likely outcome if they don't reach a solution is that we will see some short-term impact to the US economy. We're still very much got China going well. Expectations are for fourth quarter growth of around 7.8% for the year. That very much offsetting for our own economy here in Australia those concerns about the US. Perhaps just coming to the fore as a bigger concern than the fiscal cliff. Timothy Geithner, the US Treasury Secretary, actually sending a letter to members of Congress saying that on the same day, the 31st of December, that the US is going to hit its debt ceiling again, about $16.4 trillion. They borrow about $100 billion a month, and they are going to hit that debt ceiling early. The last time it happened, of course, they got downgraded by Standard & Poor's. Expect to see downgrades again by the other ratings agencies if that does in fact happen. And that, along with the fiscal cliff, a double whammy, if you like, as some are suggesting, could indeed spell bad news for the US economy. So that is just another issue for investors to start worrying about.